Okay. Ooh, 3-3. That's not common.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, that's my standard opening actually. So yeah, and everyone hates it except me. So
No,
I
yeah.
like it.
So I actually tell my students this a lot. Is you should always have like some sort of secret weapon, and what usually I tell them to have like a certain like secret weapon Josekis. In the sense like you need to be able to play the basics and play the common openings, but you always want to have like one thing that you know that is not common. Because if you only play what's common, then everyone's going to know how to deal with it. But if you have like one thing that's maybe not common, and no one else knows how to deal with it, then maybe you get a little bit of edge right there. So everyone needs like at least a little bit of a secret weapon. Maybe like one or two secret Josekis, or playing the 3-3 when no one else likes it. Something that just sets up the game in your favor a little bit. So I like it. It's good, good style. But don't only play the 3-3 and never play anything else, because then you don't learn the other stuff.
No, actually, my plan here is to pincer with a high pincer here, but he approached me with a two like with a big keima. So I decided that the best thing I could do here is to tenuki.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's supposed to, yes, but if I pincer him here, I'm not really pincering him. So
I
and
mean,
he's not really attacking me.
if you
So
really
like
wanted to pincer, you can. I would say it doesn't matter too much at this level. I would say basics would tell us to respond to an approach, but it's not like you can't ignore, right? So it's fine. Any particular reason for the bottom instead of the left?
well, if I ever played there, no, I would play D15 and then I would go for the avalanche. And I always mess up when I play avalanche, so I decided to go
Why would you play the avalanche if you always mess up the avalanche?
because avalanche is the best choice in my eyes here, because I can get the wall, and that works well with my two stones in corner.
Yeah, but if you mess it up, then it's not going to be a wall.
Yes,
So,
but I'm probably going to mess it up because like it depends on the player.
So I would say it's actually more important that you don't play the best Josekis if you don't know them. Simply because you got to think, what are Josekis? Josekis are like tools. It's like a screwdriver, Phillips head, whatever. It's tools in a toolbox, and you have to think, okay, I want to say I have this board position. What tool will work in this board position? And if you have the avalanche in your toolbox, and you say this is what works in this position, then you can use it, and that's fine. But if you're constantly messing up the avalanche, then just pick a different tool, because if you can't
Learn
use
the avalanche.
if you can't use the tool, then it's going to be worse than if you just use the different tool.
Yes.
So yeah, of course, like you should learn the avalanche, but if you don't know it during the game, then don't
Don't play
choose
it.
something just because you're like, I know this is the pro move, but the follow-ups are going to not be in my favor. That it doesn't quite make sense. You have to play at your level. But of course, if you want to study the avalanche, then yeah, of course, study the avalanche. It's good to learn it, but your comment is a little bit strange that you say I want to play the avalanche, but I always mess up the avalanche. Well, that's the out of order kind of lesson, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, the top left.
Well, depends on what the white response here, because I played the avalanche like maybe 50 times in my games. Like it's not like my first time playing the avalanche, but white always it's complicated, Joseki.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes, it is. So is the Taisha and a lot of other Josekis. Anyway, I was just wondering if there's like some special reason for the bottom is to the left, because if we're looking at just open side, the left is technically bigger. If we're just looking at that. So I was just wondering if you had like some special plan. Okay. So for white, this is a little bit strange. This is not just like I think just you don't do that. It's here. Yeah. This is when you have this, and they pincer. Then you go here. That way they can't make a base on either side, and you just cut, and you can see black has two weak groups. So this is not playable for black. But if you don't, if you don't have a pincer on both sides, then this is very playable for black. Now it's weird for white. So this is not a, I don't think this is a move. This should be the move here. It's also consistent with your direction. Maybe this is a move. I think the AI like changed the attachments or something. I don't know. But as far as I know, a consistent direction would be the attach right here. And then like this. So if you wanted the bottom side, you go for the bottom side. Maybe something like that, and then go to here. I'm assuming there's some combination you're aiming at here because you chose a pincer. Because the way I see it, if I'm just looking at basics, I would play right here or something because the left side is the biggest side. It's the widest. There's 2 4th line. There's a 3-4 that's open versus a 3-4 that's not. And this is a 3rd line, 4th line, and it's not as wide as the left. So every basic tells me that the left side is bigger. And the only time you defy the basics is when you're aiming at some sort of combination or something. So when I see that you didn't go for the left, I'm assuming you're aiming for something over here. And that's why I would think that you would be consistent with your direction. So this feels very strange for white.
For me as well, because yeah, I played that move really unwillingly, but I didn't really know what to play because I didn't want to get cut. Like I'm not even strong here. I'm just connected like a straw, and he's
but white has like no influence, so this is very strange for white. I don't know what white would do here. I think it's fine. Just staying strong when your opponent does weird stuff is usually good. Like unless we're like AI trying to play perfectly or something, we don't have to play perfectly. So whenever weird things happen, staying strong and getting out is usually good. So this should be fine for black. Okay, that's definitely a big move. This feels unnecessary.
Yes, probably, but I still played it because I wanted to kill him.
Oh, you can't kill this, right?
Well, I realized that I probably cannot, but he's a type of player that has his ideas. So if he plays something strange, such as 3-3 at this point, I'm probably going to kill him. I went for that logic, so. I no, like he's my friend. Like we know each other for like 4 years, so yeah.
There's an argument to be made for like playing the player, but I think you should never assume that your opponent's going to make a mistake.
No. I didn't say make a mistake. I said make his idea. You know, like I didn't count on mistake. Like that sounds wrong.
Okay. Well, you said you wanted to kill this corner, and I think as long as everyone plays basics, this corner should live. Yeah, so you didn't kill white.
Well, in the end of the game, I did, but I didn't know.
Well, okay, so, but we got to assume our opponents are going to play correctly. So I don't know. I feel like this is weird timing. I would rather wait because
it's probably weird. I agree. Yeah. Yes, I was kind of like I didn't want to admit it, but yes, it was.
This feels unnecessary as well. Just maybe this, and then you don't lose a stone. Okay.
Here I was
bottom left is very strange.
Yeah, because here like I wanted to play like K17 because it's big for both sides, but like I didn't really want to leave my corner just like that.
Yeah, I think this is fine. You're responding to an approach, and you're also starting to get outnumbered, and this is also good to settle while also unsettling white a bit. I think this is fine. Possible. Yeah.
And that's the mistake.
It depends. You're trying to survive quickly, and so you're trying to use your opponent's Aji to do it. I think the problem is white's in a very strange spot, so trying to live quickly doesn't seem bad. But I also really like black, so I feel like there was a mistake somewhere, which is probably down here. I think you're just looking at here. And you have run and slide. I think simple.
Honestly, here I didn't even want to kill him. I just wanted to get the wall that is
Yeah,
decent.
that's
So yeah.
This is good for black. Oh,
Yes.
this is brave.
I feel
Very
like
brave.
that was good for black. So.
Well, my problem is that this type of moves where like white obviously has to get out and to live, but he doesn't want to, and now this is the point I'm probably going to make benefit. I don't make anything because
Yeah.
I always mess up.
Yeah, so there's a running problem at single digit Q that certain types of players get away with bad moves.
Yes.
Because this level doesn't know how to punish them, but at the same time, if you could punish them, you would be stronger than you are. So
yes,
there's that.
Actually, I talked to 1/7 Dan, and he said that those type of situation happen until 3 Dan, and that is the point where a person gets too strong that just kills you, and that you cannot get away with that. So yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting to become 3 Dan.
Yeah. So I would say this type of play, it's definitely you should be very happy to play against it because it's a learning experience, and then you have to learn how to deal with it, and you might lose, and it's okay. But you need to gain experience dealing with this, so that way you can get to 3 down, right? But if you do this, like if you're white and you do this, you're eventually going to get stuck. Now, I do agree that I also think this can live locally. But I think black's going to get to attack a lot. And I think this is maybe very, very difficult to utilize once your opponents get strong enough to punish. So I'm going to make a claim that you should not play this way. Like, even if it works at this level, I think eventually you're going to get stuck. So what I mean by this way is this is an invasion, okay? And we know this just using basic logic. This is the line of influence. You are past that line. This is an invasion. It's also an invasion right in the center instead of like somewhere close to something to where you can get some sort of extension. So usually they have to take the extension. You get to run. This one doesn't. This one only has like one space, but it does have some attachments. So there's a lot of interesting things in here, and it's a very interesting invasion. But here's the problem: you played an invasion right next to a weak group. So invading next to a weak group is very dangerous. So this is making a claim that you're going to turn this into a very, very reading heavy game where black is the attacker. And that's really hard to utilize. Not impossible, but I would say this is going to be very difficult for white, and probably this is not going to go well for you if black attacks you. So I would just cap right here.
Yes, here I couldn't remember what I played, but yes, that was probably a mistake by move.
If I was to attack A, I would want to unsettle first and chase to get some profit. And here I'm between here and here, and maybe here, maybe here as well. I don't know. Those are the moves I'm looking at. But when you have two weak groups, so right now there's A and B, and C, because C is definitely a weak group technically because we don't have a base. It's just we have one weak group, Y has two, and we have more stones in this area, so it should go in our advantage. So I would say I want to help C, and I want to attack A or B. And when you have multiple weak groups, you want to think which group is the weakest group. So let's play on the weakest group, and I think B is the weakest right now. And then it could change every turn, so you just play on the weakest group every turn. Knight's move to escape. It works on this turn because of that. But what happens if black just fixes? You get a fix, and then I go here.
I did something similar, actually.
Yeah. The problem with leaving Aji and looking only on this turn is, yes, you can't be cut right now, but like if you can threatened to be threatened to be cut, then it's the same as giving your opponent 2 moves to the other side. So it's difficult to play a move like this when you have another weak group. Again, it's balancing 2 groups is really hard. You have to think of what if they attack this one in a certain way that attacks this one. You have to be very careful. Yeah, I would just fix. The least amount of Aji, the stronger you get. Yeah.
Yes.
The stronger you get, the weaker he is. So just fix. Just fix. This is probably one of the most. I would say there's probably 2 things that I think a lot of Dom players can agree on that Q players do wrong, and one is they undervalue cutting points way too much, and 2 is they go to fix something and they usually don't fix it very well, like very efficiently or very effectively. Like this one, it's fixed, it's just done. But this one, I still have a forcing move right here. So why would you give me this forcing move? It's just unnecessary. Unless there's some like important liberty on this, that would make sense. But if there's not, then what's wrong with just fixing? So cutting points and like efficient shape or just solid strength is really underestimated at the single digit kilo. This is too slow. You already spent a move to fix.
Yes, yes. But again, I didn't want to give him R11, although he still has it. But I don't know.
So this is the problem with this is you can probably find in a review that you spent 2 moves to fix 1 problem instead of just fixing the problem.
Yes.
This is a common problem at this level.
Actually, I watched Michael Redmond's review and he made the same mistake. So I feel kind of passionate.
Okay.
So this move basically said from my side, if you want to play made up moves, I'm going to do it as well, because like here I was like leave you without base and kill you in the process, but yeah, I didn't.
I would say you got to be careful using that kill word, because when you say kill, did you read out every possible move?
Yes, actually, that is my biggest weakness, I think, because if I say I'm going to kill, I mean I'm going to kill 100%, and then I don't. So yes, I agree.
Yeah, so I would say this is impossible for us to say that this is going to be a killing move, but so I would change it to I'm trying to unsettle, because I think it's going to be difficult for you to escape. And if you're thinking about if they can escape or not, you have to like read over here. And then if you want to say, I want to prevent you from escaping, then I'll go here. If I want to block your base, I go here. And if I want to unsettle, I can go here or here. So this one, I think, definitely does what you want it to do, because you take the eyes and stuff. So that's fine. I don't think this is a bad move. I was kind of reading it to see if there's any like weird stuff. And there's a lot to read here. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the result. Because white has a lot of options.
All depends on how he responds. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of variations.
And I was just comparing it to if we just played a basic move. So if we just play here, and white plays here, and then we play here. This is pretty straightforward, because we can just be back, and you can see our shape is looking pretty strong. Maybe there's a little bit of weakness there, so maybe just here.
Well, here. Like I didn't want to play one because then it felt like it is going to be easy for him to live, and like I didn't want it because he made an invasion where he shouldn't make an invasion.
Yeah. So you got to be careful though, because I think one thing I'm noticing is you're constantly trying to make yourself play the absolute best idea, and of course you want to push yourself to the best idea, but I think you're sometimes sacrificing what the most important thing is, and that is your job right here is fundamentally you need to attack for profit. Fundamentally speaking, you need to get more than white here in Sete.
Okay.
So that is the fundamental. So even if we do it in a simple way, let's just play it out very simple way and then play a big move. That is not bad. Okay, this is the minimum we should expect. And then as we get stronger, we want to think, how can I do this better? How can I do this better? How can I do this better? But we cannot do something that gets us less than this. Because at the bare minimum, this is the easiest way to play. This is the fundamental of I want strong, solid shape, and I want profit in Sente. Okay, that's the bare minimum we should get. So when you look at the result, when you say I'm going to play this move, you have to back it up with very strong reading, because if anything else goes wrong, let's just look at the result. If anything else goes wrong, you have to think, did I get a good result or not? So that's a result. That's something interesting. I actually don't know if this is probably good for black.
It was a mistake.
Well, I think that white should play N13 here, and that is the point where I messed it up completely. But he tenuked, and I just
yeah. So
yeah, and
boom,
yeah,
boom, boom.
that move works.
Okay,
So
then yeah, that would be very bad for you.
Yes.
Okay, here. So this is definitely a mistake. So if we just look at the result, we can analyze the move specifically, but if we just look at the result, then we could say, okay, maybe you're not ready for this type of move yet. And you have to make sure that you play at your level, because I think you're the type that's on the one hand really strong at pushing yourself to play the higher level moves. But on the other hand, sometimes you do it a little too much and you don't know how to just be satisfied with just winning. Or
yes,
just
actually that is the concept I'm currently trying to grasp, because
Right.
I know that is my weakness.
So I think you need to find a balance between those.
Yes.
So you need to push, but also like be able to take a simple result if necessary. Okay, so now let's look at this. White tries to run. That's good. Actually, do I need to review another game?
It's up to you. Nobody's waiting for now. So
Okay, then I'm gonna keep going, because there's a lot of interesting moves. But I want to make sure that everyone like gets equal turns.
absolutely. Thank you, Sean.
Okay, so white played here. This is one thing I think there's a problem with white. White tries to be way too fancy for your own good. So with A, B, and now C, I think sometimes you're a little too fancy. This is just unnecessary. And a lot of the times I think these moves are being played without like fully reading it through. So what is a simple idea? What is a simple idea? We are a weak group. What do we want fundamentally to do here? We want to live. Okay, what are our options to do that? Well, we can try to make some ice space with like maybe A or B, C, or we can try to run away like D, E, F, or something like that. So I can't really make an efficient base. So the way I do it is I prioritize make an efficient base first. If I can't do that, then step 2 is to run away and not get surrounded. Step 3 is to make an inefficient ice space. Or in step 4 is to play the vital point. So here I would probably, this would be my first thought. Can I do this? This is the simple idea. Just run away. And probably not. So maybe not. So I'm thinking, okay, can I go faster? Well, then I get cut. That's probably not good. Can I play a little bit of Sabarki? That's something to read. Can I use attachments to accomplish my goal of escaping? That's a lot to read and a lot to consider. So my first instinct would be to look in this area. But settling's also fine. I mean, those are also good moves. So I don't really think that's wrong. But once you lose your base, you stop using the forcing moves. So maybe you can do that and then that. That's interesting. That could be an escape route right there. So you tried to escape right here, okay, but then you didn't get out. And now this has nothing to do with A, or it's not that it's nothing to do with A, it's not connected to A. So this is going to get really complicated. It doesn't make it bad. It does not make it bad at all. It's very reading intensive. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of players at this level like to play moves that require a lot of reading. And then the follow-ups kind of just show that the reading isn't quite there, if that makes sense. So we're playing
here. I think I made like 2 really big mixed reads, but I'm not sure what those are. But like probably 2.
Okay.
Here, I was
Um,
really like, yeah.
So as black, my priorities are cutting white and staying strong. Okay, if I do that, then it should work out for me. And I think here is maybe the mistake. What if you just go right here? And then right
Okay.
here.
Yes, that works.
Stay strong, because we watch our own weaknesses first. So here, you tried to cut, but you have a cutting point as well. Defense
Yeah,
is
I
the priority.
misread. Okay.
So a good way to catch yourself from misreading is whenever you say, I'm going to play defense first, or I'm going to try to attack, because I always drill my students defense first, defense first, defense first. But when you read, you should always, whenever you try to do something, you should always assume your opponent's going to choose offense first. So before you consider your opponent playing defense, you should consider, can they play offense first? Can they cut me? Can they attack me? Can they kill me? Because
Okay.
more times than not, that's what they're going to try to do first. Now, defense first is really important in the sense of you attack with strength instead of with weakness. But as soon as you choose offense and they choose offense first, and if that works, that's going to crumble your position. But if it doesn't, it's going to crumble theirs. And that's why they should have played defense first. So, but the first thing you should assume that they're going to look at is the counterattack. Can they live through your bad shape? Can they live through your cutting points? Can they live through your bad liberties? Whatever. So a good trick to reading is when you go to cut or attack, you have to think, how can my opponent attack me back? And then prove to yourself that that doesn't work. And then say, okay, now how will they play defense instead? And that way you don't miss these cutting points. Because this is a little bit dangerous. Yeah, that's just
Yes, here like that move lost the game, but yes, I see it. If he
Interesting. So if he goes here, you go here. He goes here, you go here, here, here.
Like b17 with white.
he can get Q11 in center, so like maybe a knight there.
Yeah. No, I think white's choice here is fine, especially since you can just jump right here. I think this is good for white. I think black's position has fallen apart. So I think black maybe went too hard for the kill here. And I would say if you wanted to, I would say white went too much here because you're not connected. And then black didn't cut with strength is the problem. Black cut with weakness. And then white successfully used that weakness to destroy the position and make quick life. So I would say there's several lessons to learn here. Lesson number 1 is attack with strength. Lesson number 2 is if you're going to if you're facing this style that white's playing, you have to assume that they're going to attack you back. And white, I would say, is very good at the counter attacking to the point that you do it too much. you need to calm down a little bit. Of course, living through your opponent's bad shape is really good and the most powerful thing to do. But if it doesn't work, you make it worse for yourself. So half the time if you say half the time it'll work and half the time it doesn't, then you can't play it all the time. You have to say when does it work, when does it not, and you have to get that really good judgment about it. So you have to say if you're going to play a move like C, then you have to say it's going to work. And I think it's really hard to say that. Of course, this one I think that's good reading. I don't know how much of that you read. Maybe you just saw the potential and it's like I'm just going to do it. But I think reading is very important. And if you read that, that's very good. But I still think the first move is maybe too much. It's just black maybe made a mistake, and that's why it's kind of working. But then that's big. That's very big. However, white does get 2 moves in a row for this, so there's that. So I'd say white's very good at offense, but maybe struggles with defense. Black is also got some strong ideas, but maybe misses the simple ideas. And so I would say to work on that, white, I would say prioritize defense and try to work on your timing for that extra offense stuff, the extra ideas. Work on your timing and efficiency, but maybe prioritize defense a little bit, and that will slow you down a lot. Maybe you're going to lose a lot of games, but I think right now, if you don't like take the time to learn defense, you're going to get stuck really hard at some level. Maybe like 3Q to 1Q, maybe 1 Dawn to 3 Dawn. You're going to get really, really stuck, and you're going to have to learn the defense then, and it's going to be even harder. So I would say take the time to learn defense now before you get to Dawn level, and combine it with your creative counterattacking defense. You need to have like good timing and combination. So, and then for black, try to not just consider the best, most active solution, but try to compare try to find the simple solution as well, and then compare the two and say which one is just going to work. Which one is going to like give me the greatest chance to win. So like if you consider like a risk reward scenario, and you say the complex one is going to give me more points if it works, but the risk is maybe this gut feeling, and the reading is uncertain. Or I can take the simple one, and the simple one gives me a guaranteed lead, and the risk is very minimal. Just take the minimal risk but guaranteed lead. Now, if you say this is just clearly not good enough, or it's only even, or whatever, or you just even want to like push yourself a little bit, then of course, like try to do the extra stuff, the more advanced one, the more reading intensive one, the stronger one. But if you can't read it, if you can't see what's going to happen, and it's really high risk, then don't be afraid to take the simple, easy lead, and just be able to compare the two.
Through your comments, I just realized that probably my aggression and my character are the biggest problem here. Like not in this game, but generally, like if I look in retrospective in my games, like I'm probably too keen on my ideas that if I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you 100%. And then I don't kill you, and then I get even more angry. So like, I see the problem. I think that's a good start.
Yeah. I would also train yourself that every time you say the word kill, you need to make that in your mind equal to a life and death problem. And you say solve it. And if you can't say solve it, then get rid of that word and say I'm going to attack for profit. If you cannot make it a life and death problem that you can solve, you cannot go for the kill. It's extremely dangerous and extremely risky to do, and it'll lose you fights trying to say that word kill in your head if you can't solve it. Of course, if you kill it, it's great, right? Killing is worth a lot of points. But if you can't solve it like a life and death problem, and if you want to improve at it, do life and death problems. But if you can't solve it, you cannot say kill. You have to say attack for profit, attack for profit, attack for profit, or simplify it into a shape that you can read it, and then you can go for the kill. But you cannot say I'm going to kill this 100% if you can't read it or if you can't solve it, because that's extremely high risk. It's the highest risk attack you can do is going for the kill. Okay. So does anyone have any questions about this?
I guess.
No. Actually, here I think like this is okay. I didn't really want to defend, but I was like, what if he tries to kill me? So I defended.
Yeah, I think defense here is good. So I'll leave you all with these final comments. I think a lot of single digit queues that are stuck at single digit queue and have been stuck for a long time. I think a lot of the times I have found that a lot of students want to play high level concepts, and I think there's a balance between high level concepts and fundamentals that you can actually apply. And for some reason at single digit queue, a lot of players think that they need to play pro level concepts, and they get in their head that they need to play pro level concepts, but you learn the basics until 5 Dawn. And I think that's maybe like OGS 3 Dawn, but 3 Dawn to 5 Dawn, you learn the basics until that level. So I'm 3-dan OGS, like 5-dan Taijom. I'm pretty confident I've practically mastered the basics, according to what some instructors have told me, like 9-dans and pro players. They've told me like you pretty much you know the basics, but you can't fight at all, and so that's why I'm not 7-dan. I can't fight for crap, but my basics are really strong. And I always tell my students, there's 2 ways to get to Dan level. There's the heavy fighting, heavy reading way, and then there's the heavy basics way. And I always tell them, go for the basics way. It'll be easier to add on fighting later, but the basics are more reliable and safer, and they're not bad at this level. Like, yes, to a pro player, some of these basics are slow, but we're not pros. Single digit Q is not pro level. And I think a lot of players are, for some reason in their head, stuck with the idea that if they don't play pro level moves, then they're not good enough. The move's not good enough. And I think that is just a false statement. We are still learning the fundamentals and the basics at single digit Q. Like, we are still learning the fundamentals. I guarantee you, there are fundamental principles that you don't know yet if you are single digit Q. So why are you trying to learn all these pro level theories and concepts? Why are you trying to play perfect play? Of course you should push yourself to do better, but take it like pace yourself. Don't try to sprint in a marathon. Don't like run as fast as you can in a marathon. Pace yourself in the amount of moves you learn at once. Like a good example is just a fundamental theory. A good example is you learn A before you learn B. Okay, learn the fundamentals before you learn the advanced stuff. And this is not me telling you not to learn the avalanche. You can learn the avalanche, it's fine. This is me trying to express the theory of learn the stuff at your level first, and don't be afraid of the fundamentals. Learn how one move is better than the fundamental, or learn why it's better than the fundamental, and learn that why, and just play the fundamentals until you learn that why. And even if I've seen a lot of strong players too tell everyone, like I think this is common with Insong too. I've watched a lot of his lectures, and he tells all the students, this is the best sequence. And I'm like, he's absolutely correct, but no one applies it correctly. I could like I teach some of his students, and they're trying to apply this concept that he just did a lecture on. And I was like, I literally watched the lecture. I don't get it. Okay, I've had to watch that lecture multiple times to understand it. And every time I reviewed their game where they tried to do it, the follow-ups were awful. Like, the follow-ups just lost them the whole position. I'm like, okay, stop doing this until you understand the simpler Josekis. And then once you understand the simpler Josekis and what's actually happening here, then you can apply what he's teaching you. Because the strong pros or whatever, they teach you the best moves. But if you don't understand how they arrived at that answer, your follow-ups are just not going to, it's just not going to work. And the follow-ups is what makes a move good or bad. Because even if a pro walks in the room and says, this is the best move, it doesn't matter if you can't follow it up in your game. So I'll leave you guys with that. And hopefully you guys found that helpful. And then I will...
thank you for the comment about killing, because I think that is the best advice someone gave me, because like I just realized what is the problem, so thank you.